The sky hung heavy with gray clouds. On the morning everything changed. The cemetery was hushed, except for the broken sobs of a little girl clutching a wilted flower in her trembling hands. She was only 9 years old, staring at the freshly turned soil covering her mother's grave. It felt as though her heart had been buried with the only parent who had ever truly loved her. But the nightmare was just beginning. Only hours after the funeral, still wearing her plain white dress streaked with dirt and tears, the child would face a second heartbreak. Her stepfather, standing coldly at the doorway of their small home, decided she no longer belonged there. With no trace of pity in his eyes, he tossed her small suitcase into the dirt and slammed the door, shutting her out from the only place she had ever called home. Her cries filled the rainy evening air as she begged to be let in, clutching a framed photo of her mother that he had thrown beside her. But his heart was stone. Alone, grieving and shivering in the drizzle, the girl collapsed in the mud, certain the world had abandoned her completely. What she didn't know was that destiny had placed someone unexpected nearby. A man in a crisp white suit, briefcase in hand, had paused at the sight. He was no ordinary passerby. He was a wealthy businessman whose life was outwardly full of success, yet inwardly empty, having lost his family years before. For so long, he had buried himself in work, convincing himself that money could shield him from the pain of loneliness. But as he watched the small figure sobbing in the mud, something inside him stirred for the first time in years. He approached, slowly, his polished shoes sinking into the damp ground. The girl looked up, her eyes wide with fear and disbelief. He could have walked away. He could have told himself it wasn't his problem. But instead, he placed his briefcase down and knelt beside her. With gentle words, he asked her name. When she whispered it through her sobs, he repeated it softly, as if vowing never to forget it. He wiped the mud from the framed photo, picked up her suitcase, and told her she deserved better than this cruelty. Though hesitant at first, the girl felt an unexpected warmth in his presence, something she thought she had lost forever. With her mother's passing, step by step, she followed him away from the house that had rejected her, toward an unknown future. In the weeks that followed, the man stayed true to his silent promise. He gave her shelter, food, and most importantly, affection. Where she expected rejection, she found patience. Where she feared abandonment, she discovered protection. For the first time since her mother's death, laughter returned to her lips. Her small voice echoed through the grand halls of his mansion, filling the empty rooms with life again. But healing was not easy. At night, she still woke trembling from nightmares, reliving the moment her stepfather cast her out. Each time, the man sat at her bedside, whispering reassurance that she would never be left alone again. Slowly, her broken spirit began to mend. She started school, made friends, and discovered gifts she never knew she had. The man who had once defined himself by wealth and power began to redefine himself by love and responsibility. Years passed, and the story of the abandoned child transformed into the story of a resilient young woman. She never forgot her mother's love, nor the cruelty that left her out in the rain. But instead of being crushed by the past, she carried it as a reminder of how far she had come. And always by her side was the man who had chosen kindness. When it would have been easier to look away, in the end, both found something priceless. She discovered a father when she believed she had none, and he found a daughter when he thought his heart could never love again. Together, they built a family not of blood, but of compassion. Their bond proved that sometimes the most important people in our lives are the ones who arrive when we least expect them. This story reminds us that family is not always defined by birth, but by love, loyalty, and the choice to stand with someone when they need it most. The little girl's journey shows us that even in the darkest times, kindness has the power to change a life. The wealthy man could have walked by, pretending he saw nothing. Instead, he chose to stop, to care, and to act. That single decision gave the girl not only a home, but also the courage to dream again. And in giving her hope, he found healing for his own broken heart. We may not all have riches, but each of us holds something even more valuable, our compassion. To a lonely child, a kind word can be a lifeline. To someone drowning in grief, a simple act of noticing them can bring light to their darkness. No gesture of kindness is ever too small. It can echo through someone's entire life. This is not just a story of tragedy turned into hope. It is a reflection of the choices we face every day. Will we be the ones who close the door, or the ones who open it? When we choose kindness, We not only transform someone else's path, we transform our own. The world does not shine because of wealth or power, but because ordinary people choose extraordinary compassion, and perhaps, just perhaps, this story will inspire you to be someone else's turning point.